Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending where you're joining us from. It's Wednesday, and we're here to get real today. We've got a wonderful guest, and I always love to start off to tell people, part of my whole life and why I do what I do is to empower people. Empowerment is everything because, we always allow sometimes things that when they hit us, they knock us back. And we lose sometimes things in that. And that's part of the reason we're doing this show is so we can empower you to, create a life of yourself and to stop guessing yourself and stop shootings yourself and all the rest of it. We're here to help you grow, to enlighten you, and more importantly, to bring you out and to being your best self. Nicole, welcome and thank you for joining. What a great
Well,
day to start off with.
it's always so fun to have these guests on here. What I'm learning is we're empowering people, but what I'm seeing with you and I and with all of our guests, we're all heartfelt leaders. We're all here to serve, and it's been a long time coming for that. So I'm super excited for 2023 for you and I, Glenda, and for every guest we bring on. I love learning from them. I love hearing from them, and I'm just super excited about this.
I love it. Yeah, me too. You know what? For me, I'm not a youngster anymore, and I'm actually really proud of it. But I love the fact that this is helping us grow, and we're always learning, and that's really the key to life is to keep on growing no matter what. So to keep on growing and keep on going, Nicole, tell about everybody about our guest today.
Well, I'm really excited to have this guest on because it's really special to me because I have worked with her, but she's also become a friend. And that's what I'm finding with many of our guests. We so resonate with every single person that comes on, and Tina DeLuca is no exception. She is the founder of Enlightened Energy, and she is a psychic and a numerologist. And Tina has use of every one of her clair abilities. And I'm not going to go any further with that because I want Tina to explain what each and every one of those are. She has in-depth knowledge of numerology. She guides her clients towards clarity, comfort, and confirmation. I've worked with her, Glinda, and sometimes she'll be telling me something. It's happening right at the moment she's telling me. So
Wow.
I'm really excited to have Tina DeLuca here today.
Welcome, Tina. I'm excited too. How
Thank
are
you.
you here?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you ladies?
Wow, we're doing wonderful, and we're always we're here to listen, and we're listen to learn, and we just also want to remind people that we're live streaming now, and through this live stream, you can come on and you can ask questions yourself to Tina, and we'll be more than happy to air those. So just let you can be as part of this as you like to be. So
Mm.
Tina, tell us. What an area. Like, this is crazy. Like, some people think it's wooey wooey, right?
Right.
But then there's some people like me, I get it.
Mm.
So, when did you find out you had this talent?
Oh my gosh, I can't really pinpoint an age because it's always been with me. And I had the great fortune of growing up in a family that embraced this part of life. So since I can remember, I had my parents always supported, encouraged me to showcase, to trust in my intuition, to talk about it.
Wow.
And so, I mean, I want to say I remember starting off as a dreamer. Like I would wake up with these vivid dreams, and my parents would encourage me, okay, what do you remember? What was going on? And they would talk, let me talk and unravel the dream. And it would, as I got older, like I remember my dad saying, like always pounding his chest, and he says, always listen to hear, always listen to your gut. He used to call it the gut. And my mom would say, listen to your intuition, listen to your heart. So I grew up with that, like that was foremost forefront before listening to your head. But then I can be an overthinker, but they were also good in the sense also kept it real, because there is the human side of life,
Absolutely.
and stuff happens, and it's just a matter of like, okay, how do you bring yourself back to your center? How do you keep calm? How do you deal with the emotional part of it? Like, what does your inner self say about all this, or how to deal with it?
So I think one of the biggest things is a lot of people don't listen to that voice inside.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest things I found. Like for years, I didn't listen to that voice, and it's my life started changing when I started listening to that voice, because even though that voice was screaming at me, I didn't want to hear it. So how do you hear that voice? And you're hearing other people's voices. You're not even just hearing your own.
Right. Yeah. So, um, well, it took years of practice. And I want people to know that, because everyone's inner voice is individual. And as much as I would like to say, like, you can learn this, you can be taught this, I want to say maybe to a certain degree, but you have to discover it for yourself, and it takes practice and being
How do you
open to it and trusting faith. Well, you have to, so if you get this inkling, to do something, do it. Or if you have this inkling to take a certain action step, do it. Because intuition is like, you don't know the reasoning at the beginning. You find out at the end, or through the process. That's what intuition is. So it's about having true faith and trust in the unknown.
And Tina, one of the
Yeah.
things I love that you talked about was your parents didn't suppress you.
Mm.
Obviously they didn't have a fear of what you saw or what you dreamed or what you heard. And I
Right.
know that some parents will shut a child down very, very quickly. And when they're younger, they're actually more connected to spirit than we are. As we get
Right.
older, ours kind of wanes a bit. Now we still have intuition. We still can hear things if we listen, but children are like actively connected to the universe until about the age of 5 or 6. But if
Right.
the parents keep shutting it down over and over and over, no, you didn't see that. No, you don't know. You didn't hear that. Those were fake friends. Do you feel that their ability to later on have their psychic sense, is that shut down also?
I want to say it's always there. It's just, for some people, let's say, look at it like a meter, and 0 to 100. So it's always a little bit on, and it's, that's why I say it takes practice, how much you use it, and to what degree, and what areas, right? So for me, I don't always put it on, because I don't want it always on. Like when I go out in public, I don't want it full blast, because it'll drive me nuts.
So how do you shut it down then, or
Well, so I put myself in a protective bubble or layer. Like, I just imagine myself being protected. And then I have to make, I want to say, conscious choices. Like, I won't go to the shopping mall on a Saturday, because even though I might have the protection, I'm still going to feel and pick up on things. And even if it's just a little bit, it's going to get to me, because there's that many more people, that it's that bit much more busier. So I'm being, I want to say, reasonable with it
yeah?
as well. Yeah. So everyone for me has this psychic ability. It's just, it's our sixth sense, because we've all heard that term before. And it's, I want to say, like, religion played a big role in taking that away from us centuries ago.
So it's just like, I can meet somebody and I can, sometimes I can meet somebody and there's something about them that it feels like all the hairs on my body are standing up, because that person just brings bad news to me. Like there's just something, I just know that there's something about this person not to trust, not to be in good. Is that part of it all?
Yes. Yes. And, you go with that. But do you have proof? Probably not,
Not
right?
always, no.
No. So that's where you have to have trust and faith in it. I mean, if you're going to follow through on the decision, and see, this is where, like, it's not just our family that can interfere, but society, school,
Yeah.
right? And then, especially being women, we're taught, like, be nice, always be pleasant. So and we've got, like, I do believe, like, women's intuition is true. Like, I know it's quite strong. So when our women's intuition comes out and it says like, no, don't be nice to that person, go away. Do we always listen to that? No, because we're taught to discount that and be nice to that person. And that can lead us into trouble. Or,
Yeah.
And we'll learn, hopefully, it'll end up something, where our safety's not compromised. We're not too hurt by that experience, but that it teaches us, like, next time I'm going to listen to that.
That's
Right.
amazing. And Glenda, you said something about your hair standing on end.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've learned through my journey is your hair is connected to your nervous system. So when you're kind of feeling that feeling, it's actually your nervous system, your fight or flight, telling you to listen. When that hair stands up a little bit, that's you best listen to that, because it's your body telling you. So yeah. And then Tina, you're a clairvoyant.
Right.
And I know are there 7 clair abilities?
Yeah, I'm going to try to remember them all.
Well, hold on a second. Before we jump into the 7 abilities, can you explain to our guests what clairvoyance actually means? Because not everybody who's tuning in will understand.
Yeah, so clairvoyant is a fancy term for clear seeing, to see.
Okay.
And to see things that are not visible to the naked eye.
I love that. Okay. So there's 7 different areas of that.
Yes.
Okay, we're putting out.
And they all start with Claire. And you know what? I feel put on the spot because I don't know if I can remember them all. But can I just explain the English or the?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the Claires. So I can see, I can hear, I can feel, I can sense. I don't know if that's 4. I can smell, taste, and know. I believe that's all of them. I think that's 7 of them. If I missed one, I'm so sorry. So when I tune into someone's energy, all those different elements will come in around them that I pick up on.
So when you do you do this online or you do this only in person?
No, most of the people I see is online, but it doesn't matter how I see them. I don't even have to see them. I don't even have to hear their voice. I can just tune into the energy. So even if I'm just given like a name, sometimes I'm not even given a name. Somebody might want to know, can you tell me about, my dad? And it's like, well, how many people are dads, right? So sometimes it'll just be a matter, something as simple as that. I mean, it doesn't sound simple, but just a matter of that. Yeah.
So when someone makes an appointment with you, do you sit down prior to your meeting and start getting messages, or do the messages hit when you first talk to that person and you go from there?
Okay, so kind of both. So I always prepare myself, and I don't need like lots of time to prepare. And prepare for me is where I just call in divine protection. I call in divine help. And sometimes when I look at like my appointment book and I say like, oh, I have a session with this person, I'll pick up something like something will come through. And then I'll be like, okay, I want to wait till I sit with them. So a few things might come through. And then when I sit with them, that's when it all comes out.
So when you're meeting a stranger, that you could sit down with a stranger and not looking for it's not an appointment, but somebody can sit there and you'll start feeling or sensing about them?
Yes.
Or messages coming through?
Yes.
And putting light around you or your divine to help protect you so that doesn't actually come into you?
Right. So that it doesn't, I want to say, the best way I can explain that process for me is it's like I detach from the human body,
I get that.
right? Yeah. So it's almost like I'm out of body, but I'm not totally out of body, right? So it's like I'm observing, and and that's how I get all these messages. And I want to say, and it's a blessing because when I'm done, when I come fully back into my body, I don't remember the majority of what I shared.
So is this somewhat like channeling?
Um, I mean, it could, I want to say not really because I'm not, you
Coming
know,
from somebody
yeah,
else?
that's not what I'm not channeling, let's say just randomly, for messages that are, directly from the guide because I'm connecting to that individual. So some of the messages will come from their energy.
Mm.
Some is like it's passed down from my guides because it's like my guides have access to information I don't have access to. And some will come from their loved ones because if a loved one comes through, they'll pass on information for them that they want me to speak to.
Now, would you say that you're an evidential medium? Do you always have like evidence so the person knows specifically who this message is coming from?
When from a loved one, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. If there's
Yeah, usually, yeah. So they will show up and they'll give me something to prove it's that certain person. Especially if it's, let's say a grandparent, when a grandparent comes through, because it's like, well, some people, all their grandparents are gone. So it's like, which grandparent are you? So that's where I need the evidence, like, which one are you? And I'll ask them, like, I'll have a conversation with them. You tell me which grandparent you are. What do you want me to tell your loved one here?
So
and
I
can you
was,
I was
sorry, go
just saying,
ahead.
can you see them when you're talking to them?
So I want to say yes, but it's not always clear. It's not like how I see you on the screen. And sometimes they will show themselves at a time in their, like an age time or age frame that was like way before they died. So let's say they passed away in their 70s, but they come through and they say, like, I'm the grandparent, and they're showing me like when they're in their 30s. And I
Oh,
find the reason why they do that is because they loved themselves the most at that time. That's how they want to be remembered, and that's how they want to show up, is like, I'm in my 30s. So
I'd go back.
I would too.
I can maybe keep myself then into my 40s and I'll be happy.
And I don't,
Absolutely.
yeah. So that's the best way for me to explain that. Like, it's because they like to show up at that age. They thought they were like, I don't know, the cat's meow, or they felt
Okay,
really
well,
good
I'm
about their
feeling the
life.
afterlife. I'm feeling this. It's like, okay, there's nothing to
Yeah,
be afraid if I go
yeah,
back to 30.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And what type
Yeah.
of messages are you pulling up from people to,
Um, it varies. A lot of times, well, I want to say every time it's love. Every time they want to show love. Um, they want to also, I want to say there will be at least one message that they want to share that has to do with the person's future.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, as if they want to say, like, we know what's going on, like what's coming your way. We want to help you with this. They also will share like messages like that have just passed. And I guess it's to, and I believe that's to prove, like, they're a part of our lives, even though they're not here in the physical. Sometimes they want, depending on the individual, they'll show also to how their personality was. That's the other thing I want to say for everyone. So if their dominant trait was anger, they're going to show me that. They're going to say they were an angry person, but they're not that anymore over there.
Oh,
And
so
that
once they cross over, they become a much nicer person?
everyone does. Yeah.
Wow, I
Everyone
didn't
does.
know that.
Yeah. The best way I can, like, there's no judgment. There's no ill will over there. There's no shame, guilt, like any of these negative emotions that we feel here and that we go through, that we experience, is not over there.
Wow, it's too bad that it couldn't come into real life here and
I
we could
know.
be
I
so
know.
kinder and understanding,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that's because here on this earth we exist sometimes out of ego, which is kind of false, I guess, if you will. And when we cross over, because it's in your body, you don't physically take it with you?
That's a good question. I can only speak to my beliefs and what I've experienced through like my own life and through my, like, interactions with other people when I do readings. So I feel our planet is about growth and learning
Mm.
and becoming and becoming.
Yeah, I think
So
that's what it really says about life.
yeah, and it's like, how do we live? And so for some, I'm sorry to say, living might be one of sadness most of the time, because that might be your purpose this lifetime. And for some, it might be the easy life, like they have everything work out in their favor. And I can't explain why that is, like why some people have that kind of life and others don't. But it's to grow. And I think if we had all that love energy or all that from the other side here, frankly, I think we wouldn't amount to anything, or we wouldn't have that soul growth.
Well, some
True.
people
Yeah,
believe we've lived many times before when we're as we are right now.
right,
And if we don't learn from our lessons, we repeat them. So I
right,
guess it depends on how many lessons they have learned previously. So they can either move forward, or otherwise they're repeating what has maybe not, what, maybe hasn't gone right in their life, or what they refuse to learn.
right, right. And and I feel too, it's like it's not. I mean, there's so many variants to it, and like I want to say there's not just one way, one path, one reason.
Mm.
Um, it's like it all matters, and it all counts for something.
I love that.
And yeah, and it's all connected, even the hard stuff, or the things that are unpleasant to us. I just, what I wish for, especially in these times, is that we come together more.
I agree.
So yeah, so the ones that are on top, you know what? Do you need all that? Do you have to have all that for yourself? Can you share? Can you reach out? Because I feel a lot of them don't. And that's the times that we have to move towards. So that's what will, I think, lead us to a kinder, loving, gentler world, is, those that are in the position to make life easier,
Well, if they can
do so. Yeah,
they can give. The problem is there is so much of a divide, and
yeah,
especially now as we're going into harder times,
yeah,
which it seems it hasn't, the last 2 years, 3 years have been, and then we're going into this, and you see so much is going on now that the people that brings there's more of a divide now, more than ever before. There's
right.
more
Yes,
answers and things like that.
yes.
Absolutely. So, Tina, I'm curious if you get a message like that someone is going to pass away, or it's like what we would consider a negative message. Are you obligated to tell that person,
Mm,
or are you obligated to hold back? How does that work? I'm just
yeah.
curious.
So
That's
yeah, I,
scary to some people anyway that this, but how do you relay
yeah,
a negative message?
yeah. So I try to come from the premise it's all positive. So it'll serve us in some manner. And I call those like the challenging messages. So I will, and I try to come from a place of being authentic and true. And
Love
I
it.
want to say, yeah, and when also too with me, okay, the way it works for me is like, when I receive a message like that, I don't get anything else until I verbally, like, I put it out there. So it's
Okay.
almost like it's stuck, like it's like a record, and it's like they keep the needle on that message until I share it. So
Yeah.
I break the news gently, and then I also share, like, it can be a blessing, because that gives you the opportunity to spend that extra time, or to say those things, or to do those things with that person, so that you don't want regrets, you don't want to feel like you missed out. I
It's
think it's a gift. Yeah.
I always wondered if people would hold back giving messages if they were in a negative form.
Yeah. I can't speak for every psychic, but for me, no, I will share. And when it comes to death, like that's tricky too, because for me, I get two different signs. So one is where it's what I call broad. So it's like they have one foot on the planet Earth and one foot in heaven. So
Mm.
that tells me like they can go as soon as tomorrow or in a couple of years. But that person is like moving more towards death than wanting to be here. And then there's a different sign I get where it's like, I know that person's going to die within the year.
Oh, wow.
And I will tell them that. And I said, you know what? I might sound like hurry up, but it's like, if you want to spend time with that person or say anything, like hurry up and do it. Like, because I don't know how soon they're going to pass away. I can't predict the exact date, but yeah, I will give them the heads up.
Well, what happens sometimes in life is people do put their heads in the sand and they just have this thing that they just don't want to believe things are going to happen. I've seen it too many times in my life
Yeah,
where people don't want to, deal with the matters at hand. And, we have to look at it, it's if we don't look at it, we're going to miss out. And it's, just like you're saying, to not be able to spend that. It could be moments. It could be any length of time with
right,
whoever, or even if it's us personally. At least we have time to manage and do things in our own lives to get things underway, to say goodbyes, or to get things into place.
right. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, I understand there's different types of energies.
Yes.
Can you explain what they are, and how do you explain different energies? Like I
Uh,
enlighten energy.
are you talking about the way I spell it for my business?
Yeah,
Yeah, so because when I was trying to figure out what name to name my company, because I didn't want to go, for some reason, I didn't want to go with Tina DeLuca. I wanted to name it something because I had this vision and I was going with my intuition with all this.
I love it.
So the word enlighten came to me, and that's part of my path because I do numerology and each number has themes, and that's one of my themes for my path, my soul purpose. But the proper way of spelling it wasn't available. So with the help of my good friend, she's the one that presented it as how I spell it. And it's like I love it because it's about letting the light in. So I like to I'm the type of psychic reader that I I let the light in, and that means including sharing the messages you may not want to hear or may not want to know. But it's to let the light in that because that will help you continue on. That will help you grow. That will help you maybe get to the next step in life that you want in, for yourself.
Well, I totally believe that. So, if we don't see what the true meaning is, like we don't see what it is, like if you're only giving half of a story, it's not actually the story, is it?
Right, right, right. And then energies, if like for me, the way I define it is, there's an like physical energy, mental, spiritual, emotional. Like I call all those the different energies for me. And so a lot of times when I do a reading, I'll say like, oh, the energy of this emotion will come out, or the energy of like I'm thinking this, or I'm, physically I'm feeling this. So that's how I apply the different energies and to readings, to my own self, my life, as a and to define it generally.
So do you just use one type of like, do you just do energies, or do you do, when you're doing your readings, do you do numerology as well? How do you work your readings?
So I mean, I do all different kinds. My main um, type of reading that I do is numerology. And but I read cards, but I read a regular playing deck, like what people use for poker and solitaire.
Can you go to
And
Vegas and win some money too?
I wish. I know, because if I could, I'd be already winning the lottery.
Really?
I don't have a good explanation for that. Sometimes I will sit down and try to get like what is the answer to that? Why can't I see? um, I mean, sometimes I know there are, and like, there are energies. Let's say if I pick up on like luck or money, I will say to the person, you know what, you've got this energy, this lucky energy around you. Try. I can't, and I say to them, but with caution, don't, go broke.
Yeah,
Right?
really.
Because I don't want to be responsible for that, but it's like trying because maybe you're going to win something, or yeah.
I love it. I'm such a believer in a lot of these things. It's just also starting with what you're feeling and talking. So do you talk to spirits from before um, for these people? Is it that happens, or is there times that you don't get any notice from previous spirits?
Uh, yeah, no, I will. I will even talk to, like, my guides are always with me. Sometimes their guides will come through. I'll get past lives. Like it varies from person to person.
And this is all through
It's very
numerology.
yeah. So when I do numerology, I want to say is a tool where I can share messages based on the person's soul's journey and their soul essence, like who they truly are. And that can encompass, like, why are you here? What's your purpose? Um, but it's almost like a record keeper for me. So it's almost like as soon as I start sharing about their numbers, I can feel them relaxing. And the more the other person's relaxed and like, oh yeah, I'm taking this in, it's like they open up more. So then I'll get other different types of messages. So it's almost like, yeah, this person, their date of birth, because I focus on their date of birth. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, I something's coming through different from your numbers, and I'll bring that in. So it can be all over the place and a bunch of different things.
So if a person really doesn't have a belief in this, or they're resistant to you, or they're really not sure, can that blocks your messages coming in for them?
No, it can make it tougher,
Uh-huh.
more challenging. But I find that, I mean, I've had those type of clients a number of times. Yeah, and I've had clients who they want to prove me wrong.
Oh,
And they're hurting themselves. It makes it tougher for me because I get more drained. That's the difference I feel. I feel more drained and
yeah.
exhausted and heavy. Whereas
Mhm.
those that are more receptive and open, I feel lighter, like I want like joy, like I want to sing and dance and like, I
Yeah,
feel very energetic. Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah,
I'm wondering too that I know some people are very fearful of death, or,
right.
don't believe you can connect. When you
Yeah.
tell them something that only this particular person would be privy to, does that usually scare them, or do they all of a sudden have this epiphany that like there is something after we die?
Um, they they're they're comforted.
Good.
Yeah. And they will tell me that. And a lot of times they're blown away, like they're speechless. And then they're excited to tell me how that message connects. And then I get excited too because I'm like, whoa, because I'm just the messenger. That's how I look at it, right?
Yeah.
I'm nobody special. I'm just the messenger.
But
And
you are special to be able to be pulling this information
Oh,
out.
yes.
oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all the messenger at some point. I think that's part of our um, just the way I see things. I think that's part of our brilliance in our lives. It's just like, what is your special gift that you offer into
Mm,
this world? And I believe everybody has a special gift. That was funny because that was always the message my mother said to us as we were growing up, about how special and unique we all are. And I truly believe that.
yeah.
But so it's not, but you're passing on other things that a lot of us can't seem to feel like. It was funny because as a child, I would think back, there was a lot of things that I just knew that would result in my life when I was older.
Mm.
And it was just, I don't know why or how, it was just an automatic thing that I just knew certain things that would happen. And they have actually happened throughout my life. And I knew it as a child. But like you said, children seem to have that connection or so, like, I guess it's the innocence, right? Because as we grow older, we have that harsh realities that sort of block us a lot more and things like that.
Right. Yeah. And I want to say the big thing is the school gets in the
Yeah.
way of that, because the school is focused on the mind, developing the mind, and not developing the inner self.
So how would you develop the inner self?
That's where home life has to come in. If you want, let's say if you're a parent watching this and you want your child to grow or develop their own intuition, their own inner voice, then you have to do that at home, because school's not going to do that. So that means, you talk about these subjects. You go and play. You go out in nature. You might want to see, what can I share? Like, what tools can I share with my child that won't freak them out? Like, they won't be frightened by it, because you have to also be conscious of that. You don't want to scare your child. Right. And then if your child comes to you and says, I had a nightmare, well, they had a nightmare. Or if they say, like, I have an imaginary friend, they do. That imaginary friend is their guide. Sometimes kids, how some kids, like, they're obsessed with a certain toy or certain, item. That I find a lot of times is because that was part of their past life that they're remembering.
Oh, wow.
So I'll share a quick story. There was this little boy that I knew, and his parents said, like, he's obsessed with cars, like anything to do with car. And not the TV or, the movie cars, like actual, like, race cars and like anything like that. And he would talk, like, about these drivers, and like he knew this about cars, and he was like only 4. And I'm like, you know what? I bet you in a past life he had something to do with cars. Like, he was a race car driver or a mechanic or something. And it's like showing up strongly now before, he goes to school, and it's all forgotten or downplayed. Yeah. Because I don't know what kind of life he's going to live. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that one of the most important things to constantly remind parents is, when, to constantly ask our kids of how they're feeling when things happen. And when they say they're, something is bothering them, don't downplay things.
Right.
Allow them to speak their piece and allow them to be who they are. Because when we're, a lot of times parents end up like, instead of allowing them to be open about their feelings, because parents are scared to allow certain things to happen, and it's their own hang-ups, not the child's. Allow their kids to ask them, and when they're not feeling good or something is coming up, allow them to speak it out. It's so important.
Right. And you made a valid, point. It's for children, it's about the feelings. That's how their intuition operates. So they're not going to say, my intuition tells me this, mommy. Like, they're going to say, like, I feel sad today. And like, they may not have a reason to feel sad. So that's where, you find out, ask them questions like, what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And my youngest, I can remember when she was little, when she was about 3 years old, she kept seeing a boy in our car, and the car would be parked out front. She says, Mom, he's waving at me. You can't see him? I said, No, I can't, but I believe you. Just wave. Is he nice? She says, Oh yeah, he's waving at me. I said, Well, wave back. At 3, she saw it with her eyes. It wasn't meant for mine. So I never put her down. I never dismissed her. I let her have her experience.
Right, right. Yeah, and they don't have the life experiences from society, from school, from growing up that gets programmed into their mind to interfere with this because they're operating more from here than from here because they don't have what we all have, right? Like, at our age, all the things that are lodged in our head that gets in the way of our
Oh,
intuition, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The chatter, the monkey
Yes,
mind.
exactly. Yeah.
Oh goodness, I know.
And that brings up a great point, the monkey mind, how important it is for us to, sit back and have that silent time to
Hmm.
not to pick up on all the things, but to just sort of let it go by so that we can actually allow our minds to quiet down a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We all need that every day. If we could even just take 5 minutes.
So are you a meditator?
I am. But I'm not like a meditator that sits on a mat and goes,
How do you meditate?
my favorite way is going for a walk in nature
I
because
love
there's
it.
a lot of misconceptions about meditation,
Yeah.
a lot. And I tell people like the easiest way, especially because they're like, I want to meditate and I can't. It's like, do you daydream? And it's like the majority of us will say yes. And it's like, that's meditation. So daydreaming, go for a walk in nature, put on some music. Because you know how when people say, I get lost in the music, that's meditating. Do you like to cook? You get lost in the cooking part. You're meditating because you're not actively thinking. It's where, you go into a zone where you're coming back to your center. You're not thinking of every little detail. You're letting things just rolling in and rolling out. It's kind of dreamy state.
So I get a lot of messages that come to me when I'm showering.
Okay.
I could reinvent the world when I'm showering.
Oh gosh.
I don't know what it is, but I come from get out of the shower sometimes and then I'm looking for a pen and paper, never mind the towel, because I
Right.
have certain things that come to me that I know that, I need to be writing things down, huge messages.
I
Glenda,
love
I
that.
think it's
Yeah.
because you're naked and you've got that free flow and everything. You're like, she's naked in the shower, she can heal the world.
Well, see,
But
this is where I'm.
why? Why is it always this? Like I have certain other, like when I walk, I
Yep.
never believed in I don't put music in my ears. And even if I'm
Okay.
walking in the city, it doesn't matter. I just like to listen to whatever sounds around and I sort of go into my own meditation state. And from time to time, I have messages too. But when I'm in the shower, I can't believe that the amount of messages that
Mm.
come through to me. Why?
So it must be the water
Mhm.
and the feeling and the energy of water. See, there's another energy. So everything's energy. So the energy of water must trigger you in a good way and inspire you, uplift you, open you up. That's what I would say. And this is where I'd be curious. I wonder what your numbers are because I'm wondering if you've got numbers that speak to water. Because
Oh,
I find, yeah, so like when I do readings too, especially the numerology, I will say to them, this is what inspires you, or this is your healing tool.
wow.
And
Okay.
Can
yeah,
you learn that from her birth date?
yes.
Glenda, give her your birthday.
I don't know if she wants to say what
So, you know what? I'm at a point in life, some people have this thing that they don't want to let people know how old they are. I'm really proud of how old I am because
okay.
I become so much wiser in my life. So,
Mm,
hell yeah.
Yay!
okay.
We're proud of ourselves, Tina.
Yeah, no, we're at an
We're,
age
That's
that, you
great.
know what? So
we're
much,
old, bold, and proud.
No,
but
you're
we're
not
not
old.
old. Like
No,
I'm not an old woman. I'm
no.
a young spanking, like I got so much friggin' energy. It's crazy.
She
And I love
does.
it. So yeah, the age is no bearing for me. Okay, so I'm May the 11th.
See, right away, I know 11 is connected to water.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's why I love going to the ocean and I love
Yeah,
going to the lake. I love being
yeah,
up north.
yeah,
Yeah, cottage country is my soul place.
yeah. And water is a huge, huge healing tool for you. So you
Okay.
need water, yeah. So not just on your outer side, but inside as well. But I find because of that, it's more than just about drinking water. And I find that's interesting. I don't know if you struggle with drinking lots of water, like it's like,
No, I'm always drinking
okay.
water. That is, yeah.
Okay,
Just
Clarify, Glenda.
okay, I'm just checking
Clarify.
because it could go either way. Because either I find with the numbers, you can either feel deterred by it, or you can feel like really like you embrace it, right?
Well, it's funny because I always feel like I need to keep drinking all the time. And I once said to the doctor, like I know I'm as healthy as can be.
Yeah,
But I once said to the doctor, why am I always feeling like I'm thirsty? And she checked everything and she just said, well, I guess your body is just needing that extra water. So I walk around, even if I'm running to do a fast errand, there's always water in my car. I'm always taking
yeah,
stuff because it's just my body feels that need.
yeah. And like I mean, because you're born on the 11th, that number, what it represents, tells me like you get easily dehydrated. And the water's more than just about drinking water. Like you need fruits that are high in water content as well.
Okay, so do you know what I've just come up with? It's because the water isn't enough to cure my thirst.
Yeah.
And I found this a while ago in the summertime where I felt really dehydrated. And I don't know why. I was walking and I came and I was feeling very light. And I said, you know what, I need something that's colder. Like I kept saying, I said, I need watermelon. And then I kept saying, you know what, but I need salt on the watermelon. And I don't even know where that came from.
Mm.
And until I actually came back and I put some salt on the watermelon, then I started to feel better because I was actually, for the first time, feeling
Mm.
like I was really dehydrated.
Mm.
So it's very funny that you're saying that. It was something, and from that time I learned that, and I'm not a salt eater. Like I'm a very healthy eater. I
Mhm.
like healthy things. That's what my body sort of wants, right?
Right.
And that other little, but I'm saying like signals, like I don't know where things come from. They
Yeah.
just come to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, and I love that because you're listening to your soul. For me,
Well,
that's like, yeah, for me, that's your soul talking to you and you're paying attention.
I learned a very big lesson many years ago where I didn't pay attention.
Right.
And I got hit. But I sort of say to myself that sometimes maybe I really wasn't ready at that point to
Hmm.
listen. My life was very chaotic at that point because everybody else had a lot of needs, and I needed to be the person who was dealing with everybody's needs. So there was a reason why if I had found out what at that point in time, that would have knocked me down. And
Right.
I couldn't be knocked down at that point because I had to do for everybody else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I believe that we need to not beat ourselves up for
That's
anything that
right.
we go through in our lives, right?
That's right. Yeah. And I want to say, like, with our intuition, or your inner voice, your heart, your feelings, it won't lead you astray. So if you don't listen, it's okay. They'll come up with something else. They'll
Oh,
show you another message or another way or another, right? So,
totally.
yeah. So I want people to, like, that's why, don't give up so easily. And it takes practice because it's like, yeah, they'll, they'll help you out. They want to help you out. They want to show that they exist, that they're a part of our life.
And I think some of the other reasons too that, part of listening to yourself is learning to do a little bit more for yourself. I think when we turn to the point where we can love ourselves a little more, then things come to us a little bit more as well.
Right, right. Yes.
I love
And
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And the more you believe and trust and have faith and love for that part of you, the easier and I want to say the more magical and divine your life will be. It's not always going to be easy. Like, do all the problems go away? No, because we've got this human part of life that we have to live. But it's going to be like maybe not affect you as much, or you'll feel like more empowered. Okay, I can get through this. Uh,
when we
Yeah.
stop knocking ourselves down so much, beating ourselves up, because something has happened. It was funny. I was just going to do a Facebook Live about that because as women, we tend to really beat ourselves up on so many things, our failures. But
Mm-hmm.
we got to learn, our failures aren't there to show that they're failures. They're
Right.
basically some lessons so we can build ourselves up and become stronger and become more, have more of that intuition that comes to us.
Right. Yes. Yes. But we're, you know, society teaches us differently.
If we'd
Yeah.
only slow down and start listening a little bit more, right?
Well, and
Yeah.
our body is so wise. Our body is just brilliant. And like your body told you you needed watermelon with salt. And we
Yeah.
tend to drown those things out and not respect what we're being told. And when in fact, who knows better than you what's good for you?
But it's amazing how, like our bodies, if we treat them well and we respect them with nourishment and exercise and rest, our bodies can heal themselves. And
Yes.
we're so busy hurting ourselves by, doing all sorts of things that it really only takes away from us,
Mm-hmm.
including hearing things. So have you ever been hit by a time where, you maybe didn't listen to that message, like you being that very wise soul who can read everybody else's messages? Have you ever not listened to your own messages?
Yes. Lots of times.
She's very honest. That was quick, Tina. Yes.
Please tell me.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's why I say, like, I know it's like, if you don't listen the first time, something will come again, right? And to lead you, okay, out of it or towards something better. But, so they're always that. They don't give up on you. Your intuition doesn't give up on you.
Yeah, well, isn't the old saying that, the first time you stub your toe and then eventually you might end up breaking your leg because you don't
Right,
listen to it, right?
right. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
right,
And
right.
Tina, I was thinking when you talked about her 11s, today is 111.
Oh, right.
So is there any, I mean, when you think of that date for this podcast, is this a good date for you? What does that mean?
Yeah, I know.
Tell us.
I know. So, first of all, I'm speaking my beliefs, my experience. The more a number repeats, like the same digit, the more challenging the energy.
Oh,
Because it's like we're getting hit with the same thing time and time again, over and over again.
interesting. Please
That's
help.
So,
yes.
right. So, for example, the year 2022, when you look at the numbers, there's 3 2s. Now, how many people in the world said, what a tough, challenging year? And it's because it's like the 3 2 shows up. So it's like we had the same thing. So when you think you're over something, it's like, nope, here you go again. In another way. Nope, here you go. And again. So it's like they're giving us the practice. That's what the repetitive number does. It's to give us the practice to master something. And how do you master something? Over and over and over again.
True.
So that's why I come from the premise of like, when it's all the same digits, it's like, great. If you want to look up on the internet or in the book what it means magically, it's like, that's great. But I just come from a different premise because my experience with the numbers and what I know, um, by, not only my personal experience, but what I've experienced with the clients.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting. And I know this is a 7-year, which is supposed to be very spiritual. Can you tell
Yes.
us about that?
Yes. So the 7 year, I did a video forecast on it. If anybody wants to look at it, just let
I
me know. You
will.
can
I
message
will.
me.
I want to know.
I
Yeah.
do too. Yes, please.
Yeah, and it's the first time ever I've done this.
Sorry, you'll send us the link and we'll put it below.
Sure. Okay, sure. And so I speak to what the energies are for the year, but the main message I got, the phrase came through, is a year of magical thinking.
Ooh,
I like that one.
I do
So,
too.
and so it encompasses many things. So, because the 7 is a spiritual energy, it comes from within. So that means this is a year, a lot of things that unfold or occur in our life or we experience can
Mhm.
feel like magic. It can be magical because it's unexplainable. It's the unknown. So
Ooh.
not everything will be easily explained or proven. And that's where I get the year of magical thinking. So if you find yourself being challenged down in the dumps, struggling, where's the magic? So look for the magic, or you'll find like something will appear in your life as if by magic. That is like,
Already
oh
have
my,
it.
yeah. So there'll be a lot of those occurrences. So I feel like this is a year where people will like experience a lot of magic and have a lot of magical experiences and things that happen as if by magic.
Wow. That's
Me too.
exciting. That's very
Yeah.
exciting.
Now I want to share too there's another side to this that's going to be challenge. This is what's going to challenge us.
Okay.
Control. Because
Now,
the
this is
opposite of all that is control. So a lot of us will like, but I want that, or I want to be with this person, or I need to achieve this. And if you try to control every step of the way, or if you try to make it like force it, it's going to be it's not going to work out. It's going to be messy. It's going to be horrible. You're going to be like, what was I thinking? Why did I really want this? And that's where we have to get out of our way. That's the spiritual side. This is the year where like the spiritual part of life wants to help us.
okay.
They
I
want,
gotta
yeah,
interrupt you at this moment.
yeah,
I hear this thing all the time. You got to
okay,
get out of your own way.
right.
Can we dig down what that really means?
So getting out of, and that this is the year to do that,
Okay.
to practice that. So that means getting out of your own way. You don't think about it.
You
And
just,
you, yeah, so it's almost like it's a year of faith. That's what it is, FAITH. So you have to have faith that things are going to work out, or you have to have faith. I didn't hear from Joey. Joey's not calling me. There's a good reason why Joey's not calling you. The universe knows that reason. You don't right now, but have faith. It's for your own good that Joey's not calling you. And then you'll find out later. So getting out of your own way means like, okay, I'm not going to pick up the phone and call Joey because it's bugging me that Joey's not calling me. So, getting out of the own ways, you're not interfering, you're not making it or forcing something or someone to happen.
I love
Wow.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
Yes,
a lot of sense.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I hear that all the time, and that's why it's like, what are they actually saying?
Oh,
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I got that. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's going to be a year magic.
yay. I'm ready for it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I'm
I've
ready
already
for it.
started feeling the magic in the air. It's happening. So I'm actually that's just fabulous.
Hmm.
We have a good year to coming. So despite what all the ruckus is going about with the recession and people, shortages, like
Hmm.
yesterday I went shopping, I saw a lot of food shortages. We just have to sit back and just trust.
Yeah. Or have faith. Yeah. And, it's because the 7 energy doesn't jive with the physical world in the way we think of it.
Right.
So that's the other reason why, like, it's magic, or where it's like they don't want us to control everything because it's not going to work out.
So
um
is this a year of surrender?
yeah, surrender if you can. Yes.
Okay.
And I've heard that too, like there's predictions like it's not going to be a good economic year, physical this, material this, and it's like, well, that aligns with the 7, because the 7 um it doesn't line up with the physical or material world like how we think it should.
Hmm.
So it's like it likes to bring things or make things happen in their own way, in their own time.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I actually believe in that because that's happened all through my life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Things have just sort of happened, and like I call them miracles. I just sort of say, to myself, I've had lots of miracles in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of gratitude for that, but very interesting. And well, so this year we're going to look for the magic.
Yeah,
So
look for the magic. Yes,
there's going to be magic there for everybody.
exactly.
So if somebody is watching here today and we are getting to the end of our time, I wish this could last for a
I
little
know it
longer.
went so quickly. It was fun.
It always does.
Yeah.
What message do you think that you need to give today to people watching?
Oh my gosh. I want to almost say, like, I kind of want to do this to everyone. It's okay. We're okay. I think we need to hear that, because it's like, we've been bombarded. It's been one thing after another,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like one problem after another. And it's not just, individually, but as a collective. And it's like, you know what? Let's take it easy, everybody. Yeah, I guess that's what I feel guided to share. And then I'm seeing nature.
Yeah.
So nature will be a huge, huge healing tool this coming year. So, and that could be, you don't have to go into the mountains. You don't have to go into the woods. It can just be as simple as like, I'm going to walk the neighborhood and look at the gardens or look at the trees
Yeah.
or the birds, right? Yeah. Take that in.
I love that. It's so true. You know what? There's so many miracles just steps away from us all, and we neglect to see what's just standing right there.
Right. Exactly.
And we have to
Exactly.
really just be, again, it's being present, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what a beautiful time we've had. Tina,
Mm.
you're a delight.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I want to come for a reading. So we'll be
Okay.
talking soon because
Okay. I'd love that.
I feel
Yeah.
drawn to you. And
Oh,
you're just a beautiful,
aw,
even though
thank
that
you.
you are or you're also my fellow Canadian girl.
Yes. Yes.
We're family.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yes.
represent the West.
I do believe that there's a beauty to Canada. I've
Mhm.
lived in Canada my entire life, and I just believe I've seen and had, Canada to me is a really beautiful place in the world.
Yeah,
And
it is. Yeah.
I look through rose-colored glasses, and I'm happy doing that in my
Yeah,
life.
that's okay. Yeah. That speaks to your number 11 too. Rose-colored glasses.
Yeah,
See, you're embodying your soul.
I love it. Well, listen, after 63 years, you got to learn something, right?
There you go.
Oh,
I hope so.
goodness.
Yes, I hope so. Well, I have, and I thank you. It's
Oh,
been
thank you.
an absolute pleasure. Thank you for
Oh,
joining us today.
thank
Nicole,
you.
do you have any last moment thoughts or guidance that you want to give to us today?
I love the word magic. And if we look around us, magic is everywhere. And Tina brings up outdoors, outside, nature, the animals. For me, I can just walk in the grass and feel the magic. I can just ground with the earth. So that's really going to be important this year. I agree with you, Tina. And surrender. We have been taught that we can have to control everything, and when in actuality,
Yeah,
we control very little.
that's
And
right.
so if you just flow with everything and let it come to you, I think we're going to be far better off. And I want to say that I have worked personally with Tina. She is absolutely amazing. Please reach out to her. She's helped me on so many levels. So thank you, Tina. It's
Thank
been
you.
just a pleasure, as
Oh, thank
always.
you. Oh, lovely. I love that. Thank you.
And those that are watching this, you'll see below in the description is one of Tina's links, so you'll be able to reach out to her as well, and have a little bit of magic into your life, because
Yeah,
that's where we're all headed, right?
yeah, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for magic.
There
And
you go.
I thank
Yeah.
you also very much. And from my hearts to yours, I wish you a beautiful, lovely day.
Mm,
Thank you
you.
for joining us today.
Thank you.